Fake qualifications, we did that shortly. Now, this is another concerning number. More than 10% of job seekers have criminal records, and the numbers are rising as thousands of desperate people lie their way into securing a job. Statistics from recruitment agencies have shown that most incidents of job applicants with criminal records are within the metered taxi, motor, security, government and retail sectors. Compounding the problem is that the government's identification databases are not linked. Revelations in 2013 that more than 1,400 policemen, including a major general, had criminal convictions following that last month. The Dubai Tradeport CEO, Saxon van Coller, was fired for failing to disclose that she had a criminal record before being appointed. Now, to talk to us about the matter in studio, we have the CEO, Kirsten Halcrow, of Employers Mutual Protection Services. She's joining us here this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
More than 10% of job seekers have criminal records in South Africa, and it goes by unnoticed. Is that?
I wouldn't say it's going by unnoticed, so we're definitely picking up, and it's the statistics from the checks that we're doing on behalf of our diligent clients who are checking their job applicants before hiring that we're actually generating these types of statistics.
What are the most, is it petty criminals, or what kind of criminality do you find to be most common amongst these?
Well, let me give you a little bit of a further breakdown. So we say this year, for the first 6 months of this year, 12% of job applicants we've picked up to have a criminal record. Of that 12%, 38% are repeat offenders, and 20% have 3 or more convictions. But the highest criminal conviction that we're picking up, it's about 25% of the convictions are for theft. We then look at the next highest being Road Traffic Act and assault.
So theft, that's probably the worst one that you would want as an employer.
Well, definitely. If I do run my own company and probably wouldn't want to employ someone who has a criminal record for theft.
What about in the public service? Do we have a lot of that in the public service where maybe screening is maybe a little bit not as stringent?
So as a business, we've definitely seen that public sector are starting to do more diligent background screening, given the high incidence of qualification fraud and criminal records and all of the publicity around these problems. Government departments can't afford not to screen job applicants.
Now how often do people disclose their records, and how difficult is it to get a job if you have some sort of criminal record? You mentioned the Road Traffic Act.
Well, this is really where the problem lies. So as a job applicant, my assumption when I've got a criminal record is that if I disclose the criminal record, I'm not going to get a job. And this, unfortunately, leaves job applicants ticking no on their application forms, which then allows the potential recruiter to decline that applicant regardless of the details of the criminal record, purely on the basis that they misrepresented themselves up front. So our message really is twofold. To applicants is to be honest on your application form, disclose your criminal record. It may not be relevant to the position applied for. Yeah. And secondly, to companies to start looking at individuals with criminal records. We're not saying that because a person has a criminal record, they're unemployable. People need to be given a second chance. And you need to look at the details of the record. Is it relevant to the position applied for? How long ago was the crime committed? Yeah. And really, I mean, does it impact the organization?
People with criminal records, or somebody who's made a mistake in their lives, how high is the incidence of people being rehabilitated once they get back into society, or do you find that a lot of people relapse?
I think there is a lot of repeat. As I mentioned to you, the statistics on repeat offenders, so 20% of the 12% have more than 3 criminal records. We've seen applicants with up to 20 criminal records. So I think there is definitely a problem with individuals committing crimes more than once. But if people are getting the message that a criminal offence is going to be a problem when applying for a job, maybe that's the message we need to be sending out.
I see something here that's very concerning for me, is that most people with criminal records find employment in security, retail and government. Isn't that concerning? Yeah, security,
that
retail?
Would be a concerning statement to make. So I don't know if that's the case. I think possibly the higher percentage of job applicants are applying in those sectors, not necessarily getting jobs within those sectors.
In conclusion, so your advice to employers is have a relook at people with criminal records and see if you can help rehabilitate somebody. Would that be the right tone?
There's a place for individuals with criminal records in the job environment. If we don't give these individuals a chance to get a job, all that we're doing is perpetuating the problem and forcing them towards additional crimes.
And forcing them to lie, she says. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Kirsten Halcrow of the Employers Mutual Protection Service joining us to talk about the number of people with criminal records that are finding employment in South Africa, where they're finding employment. We'll have it on our Facebook page, mind you, and you can have a look at it. It's interesting where people are working and what kind of jobs these people are finding. But let's go to our